The scene opens on an early morning, a time often associated with new beginnings, yet the tone here is the opposite: shattered dreams and emotional paralysis. Emma, 28, is dressed in a borrowed bridesmaid dress, a symbolic garment that represents both her proximity to the celebration and her exclusion from the happiness it embodies. Standing outside the chapel, she becomes a visual embodiment of heartbreak, frozen, detached, yet acutely aware of every moment unfolding inside. Her gaze fixes on Daniel, her ex-fiancé, marrying Claire, her former best friend. This immediate juxtaposition of past love and present betrayal is emotionally jarring. Viewers feel the raw intensity of her internal collapse through her physical stillness. The narrative leverages the power of show, don't tell, emphasizing Emma's inability to move forward as the world around her celebrates. Every smile from the friends she once trusted acts as a sharp, emotional contrast, intensifying the sense of isolation. By setting the scene outside a chapel, a place typically associated with joy and commitment, the story flips this expectation, creating an almost cinematic irony that immediately hooks the audience. This visual and emotional contradiction communicates the stakes of the story instantly. Emma's love has been stolen, her trust broken, and her emotional stability is on the verge of disintegration. The opening effectively positions her as both the protagonist, and the emotional lens through the narrative deepens through carefully placed flashbacks, which reveal the history of Emma and Daniel's relationship. These moments are critical for audience investment. They remind viewers of the intensity of their shared bond, stolen glances, whispered promises, and the symbolic ring Daniel gave her, a tangible representation of a shared future now dissolved. By contrasting these intimate memories with the present scene of betrayal, the story intensifies the emotional impact. The audience experiences the shock of seeing someone they've grown to care about lose everything, while also feeling the sting of betrayal layered on top of nostalgia. Furthermore, the narrative introduces moral tension. Claire, as the former best friend, embodies not just romantic rivalry, but also the rupture of trust and ethical boundaries. This deepens the story beyond a mere love triangle. It is about friendship, loyalty, and personal betrayal. The audience begins to question not only the choices Daniel made, but also the motivations and moral compass of Claire. These flashbacks are more than exposition, they are a psychological tool, forcing Emma and the audience to confront the contrast between what was promised and what has been taken away. This setup establishes the central conflict of the story. Emma must navigate a landscape of lies, deceit, and heartbreak while reconciling the painful reality with her past hopes and dreams. The hook comes not from the wedding itself, but from the subtle clues of hidden truths and moral ambiguity. Outside the chapel, a private, tearful confrontation hints at Daniel's concealed lies, suggesting that the union between Daniel and Claire may not have been entirely consensual or straightforward. Emma notices a text on Daniel's phone, a small but critical detail that signals the presence of larger secrets. This detail serves multiple narrative purposes. It pulls the audience deeper into the story by introducing a sense of mystery and tension. It raises ethical questions about consent and manipulation, and it signals that Emma's journey will involve uncovering hidden truths. By planting this seed of suspicion early, the story ensures that viewers are emotionally invested and intellectually curious, wanting to know not only why Emma was betrayed, but also what larger dynamics are at play. The scene establishes the story's tone: raw, emotionally charged, morally complex, and suspenseful. It promises viewers a narrative that goes beyond heartbreak into the exploration of deception, agency, and self-discovery. In 3 acts, the audience is primed for a journey where Emma's resilience and intelligence will be tested, ensuring they are hooked from the very first scene. Emma is a layered protagonist whose drive, creativity, and independence have been forged through adversity. Her work in an art studio reflects both her talent and her need for self-expression, providing her a sense of control in a world that often seems chaotic. Beneath her outward confidence lies the lingering shadow of childhood neglect, which has made her fiercely self-reliant but also cautious in matters of trust. This past informs her relationships profoundly. She is loyal and deeply invested in those she cares about, yet she guards her heart against potential betrayal. The narrative uses her career as a lens to demonstrate her resilience. Long hours, ambitious projects, and creative problem-solving mirror her personal struggle to reclaim autonomy after the betrayal she experiences at the wedding. Her younger brother Josh functions as her emotional anchor, a rare figure with whom she can be vulnerable without fear of judgment. Through him, the audience witnesses her softer, more vulnerable side, her capacity for love and trust, which heightens the emotional stakes when betrayal strikes. Flashbacks to Emma's childhood subtly underscore the roots of her vulnerability and her drive to succeed, allowing viewers to empathize with her motivations. By layering professional ambition, emotional history, and personal relationships, Emma is positioned as a multidimensional character whose actions and decisions carry weight. This depth makes her triumphs and struggles feel earned, and it ensures that the audience remains invested in her journey, not just as a witness to heartbreak, but as a participant in her growth and self-discovery. Daniel and Claire function as emotional and moral foils to Emma, creating narrative tension through contrasting motivations and backgrounds. Daniel's charisma and ambition are coupled with a persistent internal conflict between desire and duty. He is torn between his love for Emma and pressures, both familial and social, that push him toward Claire, whose wealthy, controlling family imposes expectations that he feels ill-equipped to resist. His indecision becomes a source of tension, making his betrayal not just personal but ethically complicated. Claire, meanwhile, presents a facade of charm and warmth, masking a manipulative core fueled by envy and entitlement. She embodies a complex antagonist whose actions are motivated not merely by malice, but by the desire to maintain control and social advantage. Flashbacks reveal Claire's envy of Emma's talents, independence, and emotional authenticity, highlighting the long-standing cracks in their friendship. By presenting Daniel and Claire from multiple perspectives, the narrative avoids one-dimensional characterization. Viewers understand their motivations while simultaneously rooting for Emma. The juxtaposition of Daniel's conflicted conscience with Claire's calculated manipulation amplifies tension, creating a layered moral landscape. This setup ensures that betrayal is not black and white, but emotionally nuanced, allowing the audience to grapple with questions of loyalty, ambition, and moral compromise. As the story unfolds, these contrasts drive both plot and character development, setting the stage for Emma's ultimate test of resilience and judgment. In the present, Emma confronts the immediate aftermath of public humiliation at the wedding, a scenario that tests both her emotional fortitude and strategic thinking. Despite the shock, she demonstrates resilience and resourcefulness, quietly leaving the ceremony to avoid a spectacle while mentally formulating her next steps. This moment captures her dual nature, deeply hurt, yet methodical and determined. Her response is informed by the flashbacks, which reveal her unwavering loyalty, Daniel's indecision, and Claire's envy, allowing the audience to perceive the layers of betrayal from multiple angles. The emotional layering enriches the narrative, making the tension between characters feel authentic and immersive. Supporting characters, her pragmatic boss and empathetic brother, offer anchors in her life, emphasizing the contrast between genuine care and manipulative relationships. Emma's present challenges are both internal and external, navigating career pressures, social expectations, and the psychological fallout of witnessing intimate betrayal. By integrating flashbacks with present struggles, the story not only establishes stakes, but also conveys the depth of Emma's character arc. Viewers understand her motivations, anticipate her decisions, and remain engaged in the unfolding drama, creating a compelling emotional through line that balances heartbreak, strategy, and personal growth. This setup primes the audience for a narrative in which Emma's resilience, intelligence, and creativity will be central to reclaiming agency, confronting deception, and ultimately achieving emotional resolution. The inciting incident pivots on Emma's discovery of a hidden contract that exposes the depth of deception behind Daniel and Claire's wedding. This contract, arranged secretly by Claire's affluent and controlling family, reveals that Daniel's apparent consent was heavily manipulated. He was pressured into a marriage that served financial and social agendas rather than personal desire. For Emma, this revelation is devastating on multiple levels. Not only does it confirm the betrayal she already felt at the wedding, but it reframes the narrative entirely. What initially appeared to be a personal, romantic betrayal is now a systemic, orchestrated act. The emotional impact is heightened by Emma's prior loyalty and the deep bond she shared with Daniel. Flashbacks intensify the shock. Moments of intimate connection, promises made, and shared dreams are now tainted by the knowledge that Daniel's choices were not entirely his own. This moment is a crucial turning point in the story because it transforms Emma's pain from passive heartbreak to a potent awareness of injustice. The narrative leverages this discovery to deepen audience engagement, as viewers are compelled to reassess their understanding of the characters' motivations and the forces manipulating their lives. Emma's reaction shock, disbelief, and rising fury serves to humanize her and make the audience empathize with the complexity of her predicament. This revelation is not only a plot device, but also a catalyst for the evolution of her character from a heartbroken observer to an active agent seeking truth and justice. The conflict intensifies as Emma realizes the betrayal extends beyond personal heartbreak. It is an intricate web of manipulation orchestrated by external forces, primarily Claire's family. This understanding shifts the narrative from a simple love triangle into a multifaceted moral and ethical dilemma. Emma must grapple with the duality of Daniel's role. He is both a victim and a participant, caught between familial pressure and personal desire. This nuanced realization complicates her emotions. Lingering love and past affection clash with her sense of moral outrage and desire for justice. The contract becomes a symbol of coercion, control, and societal pressures, highlighting themes of power imbalance, manipulation, and the intersection of love and obligation. Through this lens, the story explores the tension between individual agency and external influence. Emma's emotional turmoil is mirrored by her strategic thinking. She must consider the consequences of confronting Daniel, revealing the truth publicly, or remaining silent. The stakes are high, both personally and socially, as the fallout could impact reputations, relationships, and careers. By exploring this moral complexity, the narrative elevates the inciting incident from a moment of personal shock to a critical juncture that defines character motivations, ethical choices, and emotional stakes, ensuring the audience is deeply invested in the unfolding drama. In response to this revelation, Emma confronts Daniel privately, seeking clarity and accountability. The confrontation is emotionally charged, balancing tension, lingering affection, and moral urgency. Daniel admits his regret, but acknowledges that he is trapped by circumstances beyond his control, revealing his vulnerability and the constraints imposed by Claire's family. This moment crystallizes the narrative's moral tension. Betrayal is no longer purely romantic, it is intertwined with coercion, ethical compromise, and social power dynamics. For Emma, the confrontation ignites a surge of empowerment. She realizes that silence would perpetuate injustice and allow manipulation to go unchallenged. Torn between lingering love for Daniel and anger at Claire, Emma experiences a transformative emotional beat. Heartbreak evolves into determination, grief into agency. The audience witnesses her first decisive action toward reclaiming control, not through vengeance, but through strategic, morally conscious choices. This empowerment is both internal and external. Emotionally, Emma begins to shed victimhood, and narratively, she steps into the role of protagonist driving the story forward. The inciting incident thus serves a dual function. It catalyzes the plot by establishing her course of action and deepens character development by demonstrating her resilience, moral clarity, and capacity for decisive action under emotional duress. By the end of this sequence, viewers are fully invested in Emma's journey, anticipating both the confrontation and the unraveling of the secrets that have shaped the central conflict. As the story progresses, Emma transitions from emotional reaction to strategic action, marking a pivotal evolution in her character arc. Recognizing that the betrayal is more than romantic deception, she begins investigating Claire's family influence, uncovering financial and social motives behind the arranged marriage. Emma's investigative approach reflects both her intelligence and resourcefulness, traits developed through her independence and past struggles. She carefully documents inconsistencies, gathers evidence, and analyzes patterns in the behavior of Claire and her family, using her creativity as a tool for strategic problem solving. This process is emotionally taxing. Each discovery reopens the wound of betrayal, yet it also fuels her determination. The narrative uses this investigative journey to illustrate Emma's growth from a passive victim into an active agent of change. Flashbacks and private reflections interweave with her present actions, providing viewers insight into how past experiences, including childhood neglect and lessons in self-reliance, inform her resilience. By juxtaposing her professional resourcefulness with personal heartbreak, the story deepens audience engagement. The tension builds organically. The more Emma uncovers, the clearer the stakes become, not only for her emotional closure, but for exposing the systemic manipulation that has affected multiple lives. This narrative phase establishes a dual arc, a personal quest for truth intertwined with a moral pursuit of justice, ensuring viewers are emotionally and intellectually invested in Emma's journey as she navigates the treacherous dynamics of deceit and power. Emma's progress is met with escalating obstacles that heighten both narrative tension and emotional stakes. Claire actively manipulates mutual friends, creating a network of social isolation that undermines Emma's credibility. By painting Emma as unstable or irrational, Claire weaponizes social perception, intensifying Emma's sense of betrayal and alienation. This external pressure exacerbates Emma's internal struggles. Trust becomes tenuous, and self-doubt gnaws at her resolve. Complicating matters, Daniel vacillates between loyalty to Emma and his perceived obligations to Claire and her family, leaving Emma in a state of emotional limbo. His hesitation amplifies the complexity of her choices. How can she act decisively when the person she loves remains conflicted? The story leverages these obstacles to explore nuanced emotional dynamics, emphasizing how betrayal is rarely isolated and often intertwined with manipulation, social pressures, and personal insecurities. Each confrontation, subtle remark, or exclusionary gesture contributes to Emma's growing awareness of the social and emotional terrain she must navigate. The audience feels her frustration and disorientation while simultaneously rooting for her resilience. These challenges serve to heighten suspense, emphasizing that her path toward truth and empowerment will be neither simple nor linear. The rising tension is punctuated by emotionally charged scenes that highlight both internal and external conflict. A heated argument with Claire during a social gathering crystallizes the stakes, Emma confronts manipulation and deceit head-on, while Claire's charm and cunning mask her malicious intent. These moments are interspersed with quieter, introspective beats. Emma's private journal entries reveal the depth of her heartbreak, her conflicted feelings for Daniel, and her determination to reclaim agency. The contrast between Daniel's subtle remorse and Claire's overt manipulation adds layers to the narrative, forcing Emma and the audience to navigate a complex web of loyalties, moral ambiguity, and emotional turbulence. The emotional beats underscore the isolation Emma experiences, as the loss of her social circle magnifies the sense of betrayal. Yet within this crucible of adversity, her character grows stronger. Every act of manipulation she confronts and every internal doubt she overcomes contributes to her transformation from victim to proactive agent. The narrative structure uses these peaks and valleys of tension to maintain engagement, ensuring that viewers are invested not only in the resolution of the central conflict, but also in Emma's personal evolution. By blending confrontation, reflection, and subtle character dynamics, this phase of the story effectively heightens stakes and emotional resonance, laying the groundwork for the climax of revelation and resolution. The climax pivots around a meticulously orchestrated public exposure during a high-stakes family event, such as a gala or formal dinner, where social reputations and alliances are on full display. Emma seizes the opportunity to confront the intricate web of manipulation that has governed her betrayal. She presents the hidden contract and evidence of Claire's orchestration in a manner that is both undeniable and strategic, ensuring that the truth cannot be ignored or dismissed. This moment is crucial not only narratively but psychologically. It allows Emma to reclaim power in a situation where she was previously powerless. The stakes are amplified by the public setting. Friends, family, and colleagues bear witness to the revelation, intensifying the impact and forcing accountability. The audience experiences catharsis alongside Emma. Her careful planning and composure under pressure showcase her growth from hurt and reactive to deliberate and assertive. Flashbacks to Daniel's indecision and Claire's subtle manipulations reinforce the depth of deception and betrayal, allowing the audience to fully grasp the magnitude of Emma's strategic victory. By making this confrontation public, the narrative ensures maximum emotional resonance, highlighting themes of truth, justice, and the consequences of manipulation, while also heightening dramatic tension. Emma's execution of the reveal underscores her intelligence, resourcefulness, and moral clarity, demonstrating that empowerment is not derived from emotional dependence on others, but through calculated courage and integrity. Amid the chaos of exposure, a narrative twist solidifies the story's emotional depth. Daniel breaks free from Claire's influence, finally acknowledging that his love for Emma is authentic. His liberation is both a personal revelation and a plot pivot, providing resolution to his internal conflict between obligation and desire. This moment serves multiple functions. It validates Emma's strategy, emphasizes the moral dimension of truth triumphing over manipulation, and allows Daniel to act decisively for the first time, contributing to the narrative tension. Importantly, the twist is emotionally earned. The audience has witnessed his vacillation, guilt, and internal struggle through prior scenes, making his ultimate alignment with Emma believable and satisfying. The juxtaposition of Daniel's genuine emotional awakening against Claire's fury heightens dramatic contrast, underscoring the consequences of deceit and moral compromise. Claire's reaction, angry and indignant yet powerless in the face of documented truth, reinforces the narrative's moral clarity. Manipulation and coercion cannot withstand transparency and integrity. The audience experiences a mixture of relief, triumph, and heightened anticipation, as Emma's careful orchestration of the reveal directly catalyzes Daniel's emancipation. This twist is essential to maintaining emotional engagement while advancing the plot toward resolution, as it redefines relationships, power dynamics, and moral accountability in a single decisive narrative beat. The emotional apex of this story occurs as Claire's betrayal is fully revealed and the social consequences ripple through their circle. Friends and family, once blinded or manipulated, witness the undeniable truth, resulting in both judgment and the reestablishment of moral order. Emma, however, is the true protagonist of this moment. Her strength is not derived from Daniel's emotional clarity, but from her own agency. By orchestrating the reveal independently, she asserts autonomy, intelligence, and resilience, signaling that her growth is self-determined. The emotional explosion Claire's outrage, Daniel's relief, and the community's shock serves as both climax and catharsis, providing viewers with a sense of justice while highlighting the story's themes of empowerment and moral courage. Emma's journey culminates in a synthesis of intellect and emotion. She confronts betrayal, navigates complex interpersonal dynamics, and emerges not only vindicated but evolved. The narrative emphasizes that true strength arises from self-reliance and principled action, rather than dependence on romantic resolution. Through this sequence, viewers experience a multi-layered payoff: the unraveling of deception, the triumph of truth, and the affirmation of Emma's independence and moral agency. The climax, therefore, functions as both a plot apex and a deep emotional resolution, ensuring that the story concludes with intensity, satisfaction, and a powerful demonstration of character growth following the climactic exposure of manipulation. The story transitions into the aftermath, where Claire faces both social and familial repercussions. Her charm and facade crumble under public scrutiny, and her previously unchecked influence evaporates as friends and family confront the truth of her actions. The narrative emphasizes that deceit carries consequences. Claire's manipulative tactics, once successful, are now visible to everyone, highlighting the moral structure of the story. This social reckoning is not simply punitive, it reflects the broader theme of justice and accountability. The audience witnesses the ripple effects of deception, strained relationships, reputational damage, and the unraveling of a carefully constructed image of power and charm. Meanwhile, Daniel seeks redemption for his part in the events, struggling with guilt and the desire to repair broken bonds. Yet the resolution makes it clear that Emma's empowerment is not contingent on Daniel's forgiveness or actions. By maintaining clear boundaries, she asserts her autonomy, demonstrating that personal strength comes from self-determination rather than external validation. This delineation reinforces her transformation from a character defined by betrayal and emotional dependency to one defined by integrity, intelligence, and principled agency. The aftermath also allows the narrative to provide closure for secondary conflicts, ensuring that social and emotional arcs are resolved in a manner consistent with the story's moral and emotional stakes. Central to the resolution is Emma's reclamation of her personal and professional life. She achieves success in her art career, leveraging the resilience and resourcefulness she developed throughout her trials. This professional achievement is intertwined with emotional growth. Emma experiences peace and confidence in her ability to make independent choices, free from manipulation or undue influence. The narrative emphasizes that empowerment is holistic. It encompasses not only moral or social victory, but also the cultivation of skills, passions, and self-respect. Reconnecting with her supportive brother Josh and friends, who remain loyal, reinforces the importance of genuine relationships and emotional grounding. These connections provide both affirmation and stability, illustrating that resilience is not solely internal, but also nurtured through trust and authentic bonds. By highlighting her restored network of support, the story contrasts the shallow, manipulative relationships represented by Claire with meaningful, reciprocal connections. Emma's journey demonstrates that personal growth often involves both external achievements and internal reconciliation. She navigates betrayal, isolation, and moral complexity to emerge with clarity, strength, and emotional maturity. The final emotional beat underscores the story's central theme. Betrayal is painful, but resilience and self-respect enable recovery and empowerment. Emma's journey illustrates that true agency comes not from dependence on others, whether romantic partners or friends, but from deliberate choices grounded in integrity and self-awareness. By orchestrating the climax independently, establishing boundaries with Daniel, and pursuing professional and personal fulfillment, she demonstrates a holistic arc of empowerment. The narrative reinforces that setbacks, heartbreak, and manipulation, while devastating, can catalyze growth when met with intelligence, moral clarity, and emotional courage. Through these concluding sequences, viewers witness Emma reclaiming control of her life, achieving satisfaction, and embracing a future defined by her own decisions. The resolution not only provides narrative closure, but also offers an emotionally satisfying and morally coherent conclusion. Characters are held accountable for their actions. Relationships are redefined by trust and loyalty, and the protagonist emerges empowered, self-reliant, and whole. This thematic resonance ensures the story leaves the audience with a lasting impression of hope, strength, and the transformative power of resilience in the face of betrayal. Months after the climactic events, the story allows for a reflective, intimate moment that encapsulates Emma's journey. She sits quietly in her art studio, surrounded by canvases and sketches that trace the evolution of her emotional and creative life. This quiet beat is significant because it contrasts sharply with the high-stakes drama of betrayal and confrontation, emphasizing the peace and agency she has cultivated. As she sketches a wedding scene, viewers recognize that this act is layered with meaning. It symbolizes the life she once hoped for, the heartbreak she endured, and, most importantly, the transformation she has achieved. Unlike previous depictions of love and loss, the sketch now carries serenity, understanding, and empowerment. The act of creation reflects Emma's reclaimed autonomy. She is no longer a passive participant in her story, but an active architect of meaning and narrative. Through this visual and emotional medium, the audience sees her internal growth made tangible. Her heartbreak has become a source of strength, and her independence is no longer defined by absence or loss, but by choice and clarity. The quiet nature of this moment allows viewers to breathe with her, sensing both the emotional weight she carries and the freedom she has cultivated, reinforcing the story's central message about resilience and self-determination. Adding to the emotional resonance, Emma receives a small note from Daniel. This note is not a plea for reconciliation or an attempt to draw her back into a complicated past. Instead, it acknowledges her strength, intelligence, and courage while honoring her decision to move forward independently. This gesture is critical because it affirms Emma's choices without undermining her autonomy, providing a sense of closure for her lingering emotional ties. Daniel's acknowledgement functions as a narrative mirror to her empowerment. While he now recognizes his own growth and mistakes, he respects her agency, reinforcing the theme that personal power is rooted in self-respect and deliberate action. The note also serves as a bridge between past and present, allowing viewers to appreciate the complexities of the characters' relationships without relying on a conventional romantic resolution. This interaction subtly conveys emotional maturity, highlighting that growth and acknowledgement are more powerful than reconciliation when boundaries are respected. The symbolic weight of the note underscores the story's broader moral and emotional themes. Validation is meaningful, but it is the individual's choices and integrity that truly define empowerment. The story concludes with a vivid symbolic image, Emma stepping outside into sunlight, leaving the shadows of her past behind. This visual conveys liberation,